All right. Well, hello. This is FanSpeak, a weekly live show where the fans of comics and its community are our guest. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a lot of interesting things to do today, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. But before we get into introducing our guest, I want to cover a couple of FanSpeak news points. First of all, if you haven't joined the FanSpeak Facebook group, please do so. Down below, there's a link and just go over there and join us. And inside the community, we're going to do a lot of things that we're going to bring over here into the FanSpeak weekly live show here at 8 o'clock. One of the things we want to do is we want to start getting people to submit their art. Now, there's a lot of artists in this community, and we want to be able to show it off. So, go over to the FanSpeak Facebook group, drop your art, and we'll show it on the show. Another thing we really want to do is start getting more comic book reviews or just, talking about comics that you like from you guys and posting them on the group so that we can read them here. And today we're going to give you an example of that. So, Denali, you want to go ahead and read one of the reviews we got sent in?
Sure, definitely. So this comes from Crow Neva on the FanSpeak fan page. They posted a little bit blurb about Deathstroke 30 through 35, which was Deathstroke versus Batman. They said Deathstroke is always worth the money. Christopher Priest knows how to write a story. I don't disagree with that. His latest arc just concluded, which is Deathstroke versus Batman, and doesn't disappoint. Slade and Batman has a very industry yin and yang street contrast to them and to their writing. Explores the masterfully. He doesn't really choose favorite, and they challenge each other not physically but ethically as well. So it seems like a worthwhile read based on just the blurb. Kind of interesting what Deathstroke and Batman working together or fighting against each other will bring to the table, especially with a veteran writer like Christopher Priest. You always have that spin in there.
That's true. All right, now, and who wrote this review again, Denelli?
This was Crow Neva, KROWNEVA.
Now, I've heard of this person before. I think I've even chatted with him. Maybe Pope or Booster knows who that is.
It's Bloody Crow. He's one of our mods.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Yeah, but it's cool, right? And everyone, that's what we want. We want you guys to, send in your reviews. Let us talk about it. Let us share it with the community. I think it's a cool thing to do. But so just go over to the Facebook, the FanSpeak Facebook group, and leave your art, leave some comic reviews, interact, and we will definitely share everything on the show. Now. What I want to do now is go ahead and introduce the guests we have here today. So first off, we have new guests today, new fan guests, and we have Luis. How you doing, Luis?
Oh, hey everybody.
All right. Another new guest we have today is James, better known as Doom. How you doing today?
Doing good. Hello, everyone.
All right. And of course, down from New Zealand, we have the magnanimous Booster.
Hello there. How we doing, lads?
Okay. We have the incredibly creative Pixel Trader.
Coming at you live from San Diego, guys. How you doing?
All right. We have the amazing Pope Fire. You're muted, Pope.
Just wave.
Just wave. Hi. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. We have the intrepid Denali.
Hey, gang. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy the show.
And, of course, we have the chairman of the board, Mr. DeWolf.
Howdy, y'all.
All right, Mr. DeWolf. Well, it's time again for our weekly chairman's address. So, please, sir, take it away.
The culture war. We hear about it a lot these days. What does that mean, culture? In this way, it means shared values, goals, and practices of an organization. It's their way of doing things. These of Comicsgate often call themselves a community, and they've developed their own culture. There are certain phrases known to all of them, such as kick Nasser or have some pie. They've come together and they've changed their lives. They've changed their schedules. They've changed their spending habits. And some of these are drastic changes, and they're devoted to them. Now, most of this has happened since before last July. That's within 6 months. They've become a thriving, active subculture of comics. And it's developed into a $2 million industry as well.
That's true.
Many of these people have not bought comics in years. And a culture that is now revived within them. This revival is solid and it's growing. This is a growing culture. It's a new comics revival that is at hand. Out with Comicsgate and prepare yourselves for the revival, the comics revival. That's just what I'm saying. What are the fans saying? Welcome to FanSpeak.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. DeWolf. Very well said. Interesting stuff. What? Go ahead, Booster. What was that?
I said that spoke to my soul. That was poetry.
It was poetic. It was nice. I feel something. But no, he's right, man. It is a truthful statement. It's a community, and I really don't like the Comicsgate tag. I understand why so many of us have grabbed the whole of it because we're being called something, so embrace it. I get it, but I just don't like it because it's not what it is. This is something different. Anyway, now we're going to go in and meet our new guest a little bit more in depth. But everyone who's watching, thank you for coming. I see some interesting comments over here in the chat, and we'll try to get and respond to those as we go through the show today. But please do us a favor and hit the like button because that helps us with trending with YouTube. Also subscribe. And if you can, go down and hit that share button and share it out, and let's get more people in here and have ourselves an interesting show today with lots of people involved and enjoying it. So let's meet our two new guests we have today. First, we have Luis. Now, Luis is an interesting person because not only is he a fan, but he's also a creator. So, Luis, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm from Portugal. I was born in Portugal, but I was raised in the UK. And I just launched an Indiegogo for my first issue of my ongoing project, Domination of the West, which came out on the 13th of this month. So I'm just promoting that on Twitter these days.
Oh, excellent. And we're going to talk about that more in our comics segment. But I want to ask you a question, same question I ask all our new fan guests, and it's very simple. What brought you to this community, this so-called Comicsgate community? What brought you to us?
Well, it's just force politics and media. I don't like how they try to harm us into your stories, which is just, I think it's just wrong. It's just never worked out in history, won't work out now.
Well, yeah, all right. That's a pretty common story we get. It's really the politics. We just want to have fun, but it's politics, and we're going to see a bunch of silly politics today in our news segment. All right. So thank you very much, Luis. Let's move on over here to James, otherwise known as Doom. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I've been a comics fan my whole life. I started noticing a downward spiral in quality over at Marvel. I've been a Marvel guy mostly towards the last couple of years, and I decided to start getting more into watching YouTube videos early last year, and I decided to start watching comic reviews, and that's how I found our boy Zach. And he asked for suggestions on books to review, and I suggested Infamous Iron Man, and he saw that and he did it, and he reviewed the book, and he basically said what I'd been thinking, so I've been a fan ever since.
Excellent.
Yeah. Last November, I was asked, or in late October, I was asked to admin the Diversity in Comics Facebook group, and I've been doing that ever since too.
You have, and that's where I met you. You know, that answers the question as well as what brought you to the community. It's just unhappiness with what's going on in comics, and then finding YouTube's. And I get you. So you're saying you found Richard first?
Yes.
That's interesting, because for me, I was a Captain Cummings watcher, and he's the one who introduced me to DNC. So, and it's too bad he's not with us anymore. I don't know what that happened with that, but I guess that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much and welcome. Very happy to have you here today. All right, everybody, we're going to move into our news segment and have some chats. And like I said, we'll try to pay attention over here in the chats as well. And you guys keep an eye on that. If you see some interesting comment or something, just pop in with it. All right. Okay, let's go and start this off. Now, today we have a lot of really interesting stories in comics. Comics news this week. First one we're going to start off with, I think, is kind of interesting. One of my favorite characters is Moon Knight. Do you guys like Moon Knight?
Yeah, I'm shipped with him.
I'm not sure what that means, but okay. But what we have here is a very interesting thing, I think. I don't think it's a happy thing, but it is what it is, I guess. But Moon Knight 200 is coming out, which in itself makes me happy that we've had so many Moon Knights, but who's creating it is the problem. And we have Bill Sienkiewicz and Jeff Lemire are doing Moon Knight 200. Now, I don't know if you guys know much about these two people, but I know Jeff Lemire more than Bill Sienkiewicz, but these are not nice people. These are extremely hateful people. And anybody have any opinions on them?
Well, I've heard that the Moon Knight Lemire run was probably one of the better ones. I actually, for the raffle we're doing, the Moon Knight I included was one that he wrote. I don't know anything about him, though.
Well, then let's learn a little bit about him. As you see on the screen, I have here Jeff Lemire. Let me make sure.
Looks exactly how you'd expect him to.
To look, yeah. Exactly.
He just shaved, because else he would have the little goatee.
Right, sure,
and
sure.
Little face plan. You know that all soy boys have.
Well, he's got the smirk going on. He's got the smirk going on for sure.
Yep, he got the smirk. He got the glasses. Got the hair. He just shaved a little bit earlier to get rid of that facial.
Well, as you see, this article is from CBR, which we all know that CBR is not at all fair and balanced in their reporting. But they denounced Comicsgate, as you see in the title here. And basically, this is all going back to something that happened some weeks back with the Darwin Cook's widow. Let's see here. Booster, do you know much about that?
About Darwin Cook widow situation? Yeah, I know plenty about it. That was a, how do I put it in a PG-13 term? It was a S-word show.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It was an absolute bloody disaster, that situation.
Well, tell us what happened, man.
Oh, what we had this little Grom fellow who just kind of came out of the woodworks and posted a video saying, "Hey, look, this is Darwin Cook. He would have loved Comicsgate. Look at these opinions he's expressing. This is the same stuff that we're saying." And I think Ethan thought, yeah, that's a cool idea, and decided to retweet that. And, well, I don't know where she came from, but Darwin Cook's widow came out. And maybe she was alerted by some other people. I'm not sure. But she came in and said, "No, you're all awful Comicsgaters. Darwin Cook would have hated you crybaby losers." And, well, I suppose because of the absolute toxic language she was using, she sounded like to be honest, a 20-year-old Tumblr user. So if people doubted it was actually the real woman. So they attacked her, and now we got articles on us saying Comicsgate attacks elderly widow, and
Yes.
that looks very bad on our part.
Yeah.
It does.
And just to add more to background, what occurred was Billy Tucci, who was good friends with Darlin Cook, came onto a Comics Gate Live video, and he was, he's for us. And during the conversation that was occurring to one of those Ethan stream, he said that he's friends with Darlin Cook, and he said, I believe Darlin Cook would have been Comicsgate, which led to this user, Grom, to post that tweet saying, hey, it's cool that he would join us, and that's where the whole thing escalated, which is very unfortunate.
We
Yeah, I
should have
know.
said, yes, ma'am, you're right, and back the hell off as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
Most of us did. There was only a
Hmm.
few idiots that went in and tried to fight with it. They should have known better and just left it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you from personal experience that sometimes it's not great being female in this movement.
No, I imagine that, and of course, we men take a lot of flack too. I guess we're just more used to it. It's kind of male culture to jibe each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was not cool what happened with that. But it was also not correct. It's not really. We didn't do anything to her, but we got blamed for it. And of course, that's what happens, right? Just want to say welcome to Mr. Thundaro, the mighty wrench of Ethan Van Sciver. How are you doing today?
All right, how are you?
Nice.
Daddy.
Nice to have you on, man. All right, let's move on to our next topic here, which is equally as interesting. Oh my, look who we have here. Our favorite people.
Oh,
Hey,
Yeah.
Pixel, you want to do me a favor and tell them who's on the screen right now?
Bitches!
I guess not.
I
Who
can't
wants
say
to take?
his name without like raising my fist in the air and going, Bendis!
That's right. How
Oh,
about you? How
everything
about
he
you, Dave?
touches!
I
about
was
you,
shaking
dude?
my fist too hard. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead, Pixel. Tell us who these people
No,
are.
no, it's all right. Well, I've been this. I recognize the other one was that it's
That would be Tom King.
Tom King. I actually don't know what Tom King looks like because I've never
Oh.
really paid too much attention to him.
My boy Tom King.
First time
Well,
I've
you
ever
can
seen
have him, Booster. Well, here you have on the left you have Tom King, and on the right you have Michael Bendis, and of course these two guys are major SJW troublemakers, particularly Bendis, the one on the right. And but the interesting thing is these two guys have decided to come out and give some advice. They're going to give us advice to the comic book world. And that's great, right? We need advice. So let's see that this wonderful advice that they've decided to impart to us. Hold on a second. Here we go. Now, this is coming from Bounding Into Comics, which is a great site. If you guys haven't checked that out, go please do so. And on this conversation here, it says that DC Comics Brian Michael Bendis offers advice to his fellow comic book creators. That's wonderful. All right. It says here that DC Comics writer Brian Michael Bendis, who is currently penning a number of comics at DC Comics, including Superman, Action Comics Scarlet, which he's ruining all of them, by the way. He's actually going to separate Lewis and Clark, it seems. Wonderful idea. Gave his fellow comic book creators some much needed advice in how they tell stories. In an interview on Polygon, the fellow DC comic writer Tom King, Bendis, and King were discussing King's latest foray into DC Comics with Heroes in Crisis, which we will be talking about in a moment. Tom King says this, and I think this is the real one. I don't want to read the whole article, but this right here. My fear is that the story itself should be driven and not the themes. I don't want anyone to come to Heroes in Crisis and say, oh, this feels like great homework. I give it an A. I want people to come to it and be like, holy crap, what just happened? I want to find out. I don't want to lecture them. And he goes on and they talk about not inserting politics and stuff. Now, the point of this that's funny is all these guys do is insert politics. Everything about them is politics. But they're sitting here and suggesting that other creators don't do it. It's complete nonsense. And I'm just curious what the group here has to say. Luis, do you have any opinions on that matter? No? How
That's all
about
just
you?
nonsense to me.
Yeah, go ahead, Dooms. Go ahead.
It's just they're saying a lot without really saying anything.
Sounds like a politician to me.
Yeah.
Actually, you have to read towards the end where he says that, I try to make sure that there's no politics, but there's going to be politics in my story. And then I have to think about it and say, yeah, if there's politics, then this is an awesome story that I have to follow through. So in the end, it's just a lot of babble saying we don't need politics, but inherently it's going to be political regardless. So it's going to be a good story. Oh, well, wipe my hand cleans. So just like a lot of politicians did the turnaround and said, yeah, we're not going to do it, but we're going to do it and you're going to like it.
Well, the word that you're looking for there, Denelli, is hypocrisy.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. And I have been told in the chat, so I must respond to this, that Pope Fire has some breaking news. I know right now she has a wonderful Starfire phone home, but what is your breaking news, Pope?
I have no idea. They just wanted me to share this picture I got today.
All right. So that's about it. Well, thanks, guys. Now, that's Joshua Hughes, and he is our beloved troll, and he's very funny. So thank you very much, Joshua. You got me. All right. All right. Now,
maybe this is a revelation on their part. Maybe it's some introspection that they have taken a little bit of insight. This is me. I tend to try to give people the benefit of the doubt and maybe actually treat them like, human beings. And maybe then they said, maybe we don't necessarily need to do this. And what really drives a character is exactly what he said. Although then, Denali has a great point.
Yeah, no, it's nonsense for them to come out and say things like that when all they do is yell and scream at anyone who doesn't buy their stuff and doesn't like their opinion and calling us all those, nasty words. And then they come out and dare to say, don't put politics in your stories. I mean, that's a slap in the face. That's what you need, a slap in the face for that, right?
I think this is like the closest they're ever acknowledging that we might have some valid criticism. Even though they don't believe it, I think this is like the closest thing. But I don't believe they fully understand it and fully believe it, and they're going to move ahead of it. But it's an acknowledgement, and it's a small testament of what we're doing because it is affecting them. That two prominent writers, regardless of how you feel about them and their writing style and their stories, are saying this after a year and a half of what's been going on.
You guys are really nice. I don't give them that much credit, man. All right. Well, let's move on to the next subject here. This, unfortunately, is a sad one. We had Norm Breyfogle passes away at 58 years old. Now, I don't know how many of you know him offhand, but he's a great artist. Did a lot of Batman stuff. He has a very distinctive style. It's a sad news. He's only 58, very young. It's unfortunate to lose a great artist out of the community. Does anyone here that knows Mr. Breyfogle's work would like to make a comment on this?
I don't remember the name, but I remember seeing his work, specifically on Shadow of the Bat. Very eye-catching stuff. Really good work. That's about all I know.
I may have a few Robin issues. Did he do Robin?
I'm not sure offhand. I know mainly his Batman stuff he had done, and I do like his style. It's very interesting, very animated type of look.
Yeah, he did Robin. He's actually the one who redesigned the Robin costume in the early 90s. So
Oh,
that
okay.
iconic Robin costume that was all prevalent in the '90s, that was his work.
Oh, nice.
I see.
Beloved
Excellent.
ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any opinions on Mr. Breyfogle, Mr. Thundaro?
Nope, not really. It's a shame.
It's a
Sadly,
shame, man.
unfortunately.
What did he pass from again?
I don't know offhand what he had passed away from. I just saw the news and I thought it deserved to be here. Is all. Because I have seen his work before and liked it, and it's just his age, so young, you know. I mean, if he was 70 something dying, then it would simply be, you know, hey, great life of work, but it's just too young. It's just too young. But you know, it's that's life. That's what it does sometimes. So let's move on to the next subject, and the next subject is a much bigger one, and that, of course, is heroes in crisis, which connects to the Bendis conversation we were just having a minute ago. Any of you guys read this?
I did.
Yes.
I did read this.
And it's kind of funny that we're talking about crisis in the comic books, crisis about the stories, and now this book happens to be in heroes in crisis, where they're killing off many heroes. So it's kind of a convergence of many things that's happening in real life in comics. I found it a little bit interesting, but I know there's other themes that we're going to maybe dive a little bit into as well.
We will be. Anyone else read this? I only saw reviews. I haven't read it. Go ahead, Booster.
When do we get to spoilers? I'm just going to keep saying spoilers until I can say something.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers.
Why the hell did they kill off Wally just like a year after they bring back the guy? It's so annoying.
Yeah, boy, Booster Gold is a prime suspect of killing all of these guys.
Oh my god. Yo, what did Booster Gold do? What did you make him do, Tom King? Tom King does not know how to write Booster Gold. It feels like they should just let Dan Jurgens or someone else just write him, man. Oh my god. Other than that, I actually thought it was quite a good read.
Yeah, no, it's quite amazing, right? Because Wally West was the big part of the whole rebirth, right? He was like the key center of it. They went through this whole long thing, brought him back. He's the center of everything, and then boom, he's dead. And you know, it's worse than that. Than Booster is telling you. Once again, spoilers. Not only is Wally dead, they killed him off panel.
Of Arsenal.
Yeah, they killed off all these characters off panel without context.
Hotspot.
They just showed off
a couple more.
dead all of a sudden. Real pain.
I think Pope is ready to burst out of scene with what she wants to say.
Okay, they killed off like 4 Titans, right? They killed off Hotspot, Lagoon Boy, Arsenal, Wally West. Like, and you know, I have read every single Titans book that I can get my hands on. I liked Hotspot. He is one of my top 10 favorite Titans. They just introduced
one person. I was reading this with her, and she was going, "They killed off Hotspots," and I was like, "Who?"
No, and I made a Facebook post. I was that mad. They didn't even introduce the guy, and he was introduced in this book just for them to kill it. Like, and then to kill Arsenal and Wally West. Like, that's 2 founding Titans, and you just kill them off screen. Like, so disrespectful.
Oh,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Pope. And you know, and I'm going to get into a connection to this later, but let's get some other responses to the off-panel killing of Wally West, who was supposed to be the center of this whole rebirth thing. You got any opinions on this, Mr. DeWolf?
I wasn't quite done when you asked, but it kind of went along with what Pope was saying. So that's all. I think that's what help her out.
I'm sure the Speed Force will just he'll magically Speed Force him back into time somehow, because you know Speed Force is extremely unpredictable, and they use it as like a plot device half the time. But Booster Gold will do some time travel nonsense.
Yeah, they're gonna pull that twinning thing from Flash TV show, you know, where he duplicates himself and the clones always dies.
Yeah, but there's a problem to that, Booster, because as far as the new information they've given in the DC, that these Speed Force guys can no longer time travel. They took that away. So
Well, here's
yeah.
the thing, though. In the other Rebirth Titans books, they've been trying to they've killed him off like a handful of times. He just hasn't like officially died. Like it's been really weird. Like he keeps being revived.
Well, how many times has Wally died?
In Rebirth alone, I think like 9.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But of
Does
course,
it even explain how he died at all, or does he just show up dead? Does he just show up with a dead?
Yeah, he just shows up dead. I mean, I have the comic if you want to go grab it.
That doesn't even make any sense. It's pretty hard to kill a speedster.
Yeah,
And I think this goes back to a bigger general
I'm gonna say
issue.
it's like Superboy Prime or something.
How many times has Reverse Flash died? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
but that's not the problem. Killing off comic book characters is a pretty normal thing. But my point is, you did all of this work, all of this effort to make Wally West the center of this rebirth thing, and then you go and you kill him off. But not only you kill him off panel. I mean, what are you thinking? And worst of all, another spoiler for everyone in there that's listening is they're implying that Booster Gold is the one who killed him.
Okay, I don't think like they meant like he killed them like when like actually killed them. I think like he's responsible for their deaths because he was the one that made Sanctuary. So I think
yeah, I get you. I think they killed him. I'm just trying to upset Booster.
So here's the thing, though. This is issue 1, right? But I think they're kind of doing a time skip thing. I think they're showing the end of the result of all of these, and I think issue 2 will probably start with how we built up to all of this. So we'll probably get more context as we go along with this series. But
Probably.
they made a lot of poor decisions in the first issue, but I am interested in what's going to happen.
That's why it reminds me of.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Luis. Go ahead,
Which one?
Luis.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Who spoke up? Was that Doom or Mr.
Yeah.
No, it's Mr. Thundaro. Go ahead, Mr. Thundaro.
A lot of the problem is they keep acting like every single thing needs to be this story is only purpose is to lead into the next story. Now, I understand it's like a first issue and everything. That's kind of the point. But when you do something like that, you kill characters off panel, it defeats the whole purpose of a comic book. The whole purpose of a comic book is to see it, to see what happens. So they should have, if they were going to do this, we'll explain later thing. That's horrible storytelling. You should never have that in your mind that you'll explain later. Second, in a comic book, they should at least show the death. Real quick, you take one panel, bam, that's how he died. Explain it later if it doesn't make much sense in the picture, but you don't have to just do it off panel. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like this whole issue felt like a clickbait, like a what was it? A $3.99 clickbait issue. And comic books have had clickbait in them before, but this one was just. I mean, I kind of agree with you. They could have at least had like a shadowy figure and then be like, "Who are you?" And then like you should see their body, but they didn't do that. They literally killed everyone off panel, and they introduced characters just.
Booster Black.
Fire and Booster Black are actually going to join the DC universe pretty soon.
Right. Yep. You know,
Booster's platinum.
this really shows, I think, something that we've been talking about for a while now. And as a matter of fact, the comic book ASMR Tist in the chat says that everyone is talking about the new Crisis book. And there you go. Because what we've been talking about is how comic books, how these storylines have always been the new Crisis. Well, it's the new thing. It's the new storyline. And then it's overreaching. And then, of course, we know, well, it's all going to get fixed later. And Popefire called it clickbait. Well, yes, it is. It's that new sensational story that we want you to get involved with and get bought. And we're going to overhype it. And we don't want we're done with overhyped stories. We want good character stories.
Exactly. And if the rumors are true, because there's this big rumor that in Crisis Starfire is going to get pregnant. Like they're just doing a whole bunch of just dumb stuff that don't make sense.
Who's going to be the daddy?
Nightwing.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then. I thought there would be something more odd.
It's almost sensible.
Booster.
Dr. Doom.
No, okay.
Dr. Doom. Oh no. Crossing.
they're
Come
gonna. Okay, I'm gonna just do a visit. Like, okay, so I don't have a Roy Harper, so we'll just pretend like Beast Boy. Okay, here's Beast Boy. It's his funeral, and then here's Robin and Starfire, or Nightwing and Starfire. Okay, that's like what the rumor has it. And at first I didn't believe it, and then I looked up the when I read the first issue, it kind of has been lining up with it. So I'm like, okay. But here's the thing: if they do make Starfire pregnant, she'll have the baby, and then she'll be killed off.
Wonderful.
Killed off.
And I do appreciate you keeping that PG as well, Pope. Thank you.
Yeah, she vented earlier. She got it all out of her
Yes,
system.
she got it all out. I do have to make a comment from the chat though. Pope Raven says that he is disliking this video because Pixel is in it. So we have a Pixel enemy over here.
That's not nice.
Raven.
Not nice at all.
Ah, I see. It's because Pixel is the one who drew the image of Starfire giving Pope Raven the movie. I see how it is.
The true reason is because I told everybody that lost my art giveaway that it was Pope Raven's fault.
Oh, yeah. She sabotaged everything.
All right. Now, just since we're at this point, I just want to ask real quick. You guys been over here watching the chat. Do we have any questions or comments from the chat we should throw up here?
A lot of it is the war that's going on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Which
commented
is
that
part of our culture.
we're high production value now because our chairman has gone through a costume change already.
Yes, he has. Yeah, and by the way, guys, if you want to send a question directly to us, just at me in the chat, so it lights up, so I can see it a little bit easier, and I'll do my best to catch those in comments. So, but feel free to comment. Now, the kind of little connection to this this whole bit for me is kind of interesting. How many? Do we have any? I'm assuming we have Marvel fans here, and it's not all a bunch of DC geeks.
Yep.
But do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
Scourge.
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
I'm too young.
Well, this was in the 80s, which is when I was really into comics, and Marvel Comics did something very similar. They killed off a whole bunch of characters. Matter of fact, let's take a look at a list here real quick of the people that they did kill off. If we look over here, this is let's make sure that this is still showing. Yes, it is. Good. We see this list, and we have the Enforcer, Miracle Man. I'm talking about the Marvel one, not Mr. Fantastic, Hate Monger, Titana, Basilisk, which I love that guy. He was cool. A whole bunch of them you see: Death Adder, Red Skull, but Albert Malik one. Let's see the Black Abbot. Yeah, Hammer and Anvil, which they were kind of interesting too.
Mirage.
Yep, Cyclone, the Cheetah. A whole bunch of people, Rapier, which he was so-so, Fairbrand, Hijack. Now, what they did, the reason they did that is because they had a whole bunch of these characters you see here that weren't getting a lot of use. They were kind of old, and they just want to clean it up. So they had a purpose behind what they were doing with Marvel, cleaning up some of the stuff. And some of these are ones who were involved in the story, but didn't get killed in the end, like Water Wizard and Diamondback and stuff like that, Hobgoblin. Do you think this Heroes in Crisis, do you think this is a cleanup, or is this just another silly event book that they can't stop putting out?
I think this is Dan DiDio doing the rounds, He's like, here's some characters I don't like. He's got this murderous rage in him, that man. He's just getting it out of his system, I reckon.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Dan DiDio actually really does not like Wally West. I mean, he's very much against the character. I don't know why. So there might be some truth to that, actually, Booster.
Like, he really does not like legacy characters. He tried to kill off Nightwing before, too. So he's not big on legacy.
Yeah, and these kind of cleanup events are very common, right? We had the Countdown? Countdown to Final Crisis, which was very infamous for killing off a lot of characters off screen. Then we had Marvel's Ultimatum, which was a very very ugly read as well, which killed off a lot of characters in the Ultimate Marvel universe.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, the thing that's surprising me, if this is a cleanup, or it could be something else, but if it is a cleanup, isn't it kind of soon after Rebirth?
It is. I mean,
it is too soon since we just got one back.
Yeah, Rebirth, it was supposed to be coming back to the we get that the way that we reimagined this character wasn't jiving with what you wanted them, so we rebirthed them back to what they were originally. And
that's what we call a floundering industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they are floundering. Yeah, that's true.
And they say that this whole hero in crisis is supposed to be dealing with heroes in PTSD and mental health, but it's coming more as like the school massacre, and all those gun massacre and those heavy political stuff that's been happening in television as well. So they've been interjecting a lot of that stuff into that. That's what the general vibe and general whispers and rumors been swirling around that I've been hearing through the community, through Twitter, Reddit, message board, kind of what people are perceiving of that as well. I don't know what everybody's thoughts about that is.
Well, while you guys think about your thoughts on that, I will read a couple of comments from the chat. Sierra Whiskey here, he has a question, and here's his question. Why does Pope Fire not frame her art? Sacrilege.
That's a good point.
Pope Fire does what she wants when she wants.
There you go. There's your answer, Sierra Whiskey. There's your answer.
Also,
Josh?
do you mind if I kind of pick my computer up and show some of the pieces I have?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll white box you. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how good the quality would be. Unplug all my crap.
Joshua Hughes has a comment here, but he's just trying to make trouble. How many of you would admit to liking Raven more than Starfire while in front of Pope Fire? Okay, I like Cyborg better anyway.
Nobody's gonna admit to that because only like 2 people actually like Raven.
Oh, okay, all right.
Who's Raven?
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Oh, I got a little Raven on my desk though. Oh, and another one. Okay, did everybody see everything?
Which is kind of funny that the voice actress for Raven in Teen Titans is actually the voice actress of Barbara Gordon in Batman the Anime series.
Okay, so actually, Mayor Strong auditioned to play Starfire and then got the role of Raven.
Yeah.
Oh.
So very interesting there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, we do have another comment here from the chat, and this is from Chad Middleton, which I met Chad yesterday. Hello, Chad. Nice to see you again. And yes, I did just raise my hand and wave to you, even though that's weird because we're on a computer, but I am a boomer. But it says here, all those characters will come back as diversity. Boy. Ooh, that's a scary statement.
Well, we already have the diverse Wally.
Yeah, Wallace West.
Now we'll have 2 Black Wallies.
No, the interesting thing is Wallace West was introduced spray painting a wall. Okay.
In like a little hoodie and everything.
Yeah, so that's not a complete stereotype.
He was doing graffiti?
Yeah.
Pretty
my
much.
God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, that does remind me. They did introduce the Black Wally West because of the television show.
Yeah.
So no wonder they're killing the white. You know what's reminding me of? It reminded me of remember that old TV show in Adult Swim, which was called C-Lab 2021, where they had the 2 Debbies, and they decided to call one the Black Debbie and the other one the regular Debbie. That's what I feel like it right now. It's all a big joke.
Oh yeah.
Well, before we move on, does anyone have any more comments about this hero in crisis thing?
I'm just not convinced that, especially characters like Wally, are going to stay dead within the series because, like everyone has stated, he's so integral to like the Button story and the whole Rebirth thing. As someone who's sort of new to DC, going into that fresh, I just see that and I'm like, oh, he's just going to come back later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just would like to say someone really needs to give Tom King a bloody hug. He is clearly depressed. It
Yeah,
shows
no
in
kidding.
his work. It shows in Sanctuary, which is all about depression. These Batman issues, which Batman's bloody depressed. His Swamp Thing Winter Special, and Mr. Miracle. Give the man a bloody hug.
Yeah, that Mr. Miracle is a touchy one though, man, because that thing started out brilliant and it went real bad real quick. I mean, that's
from
such a
around
shame,
issue
man.
6,
Yeah.
it
That
slowly
was
started
the-
going down. I hope issue 12 wraps it up and makes it all better, but it should have been an 8-issue series. It should have gone quicker, man.
That
'Cause
was the
it had
last
such a
one-
wrong start.
It's ridiculous. The last one they had Darkseid eating snacks.
Yeah.
What?
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm
It's
getting something.
outrageously stupid, man. Mr. Thundar, go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's a shame. That was the first comic I had bought in probably almost 20 years. Was that first Mr. Miracle issue? Because I thought it was going to be great, and sure didn't turn out great. It
No,
fell
man.
apart really fast into a just constant stream of nothingness. Nothing happened over and over and over and over and over. Horrible.
Yeah, no, and it got so stupid. The last one, they just came up. Not only had that, but it had all the I don't know what you guys call them these days. But when I was young, we used to call them Valley Girls. Had all that Valley Girl speak going on between
Oh.
these, gods. I mean, it's insanity the way they were talking. A bunch of little 14-year-old girls. These characters are centuries old, right?
Hmm.
Anyway, moving on. Now, this story is it's just a continued run of tragedy. This is Jeremy over at the Quartering, and Jeremy is had some rough times lately. He got kicked out of being able to do Magic the Gathering some years back because he was talking to other Magic players and saying, "Hey, man, don't waste your money on these what they call these Twitch thoughts. These are girls who basically kind of get near naked on Twitch and make money off of it." And he was just trying to help the guys. Hey, man, don't waste your money on that. And because he did that, that was a hate crime against women, and they kicked him out of Magic the Gathering tournaments for life. Right? Then Jeremy, well, he moved on, and he was at Gen Con here when it was up a few weeks back, and he got attacked by an actual vendor and SJW at the con. Police proceedings are ongoing with that, by the way, and which is bad enough. I mean, we all saw that happen, but now Gen Con has sent him a letter, and they have kicked him out. He can no longer come back to Gen Con at all. So he goes to Gen Con, he gets attacked, and then he gets summarily removed from ever going to Gen Con again. I mean, this guy's got bad luck, but it also deals with the just nonsense that's going on around us and why this community exists, I think. Anyone want to make a comment on this?
The rich part of why he was banned because he violated their terms of service, which is targeted online harassment, for reporting that he got hit and attacked near in that their
Absolutely
convention.
ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's the reason why he got banned. So they're making the victim, punishing the victim as well because he brought negative press towards them.
Can you imagine though if that would have happened to an SJW?
Oh yeah, it would have made national news.
It never happens to them. They always pretend it happens to them and act like it's the biggest, worst thing ever.
Oh, they're the ones throwing punches every time.
Well, they get upset when a new Twitter account says, "Oh, you're a terrible person."
Yeah.
And to them, it's perfectly fine to punch people as long as you label them a Nazi. But then, if somebody even tells you, "I don't agree with you," Nazi, you're harassing me, you're threatening me. It's like, what?
Yeah. They pearl clutch over being called the most mundane and milk toast insults in the world. And they turn around and call somebody a Nazi.
Yeah.
Well, they
No,
made the word means very little now, and it's kind of sad because that should be something that should mean something extremely evil, but they took this word that means something that's really evil, and they're just like, well, I'm going to call everybody it now. So now when you hear that somebody is a Nazi, you're like, well, are they really a Nazi? Like, can you really tell nowadays? Because everybody's calling everybody a Nazi now. It's insane.
Yeah, it has no meaning anymore. But I mean, it's just for me, the point is Jeremy's really been taking a lot of hits lately, and if you ever watch his stream, I mean, he's actually not that fiery. He's not that vulgar. He's not that attacking. He seems like a pretty nice guy, to be honest with you. And he's just taking it on the chin left and right. And of course, Gen Con here kind of is a little bit outside of the topic. I mean, this is about comics, and Gen Con is about tabletop board gaming. But you know, it just shows you how widespread this is. It's not only touching comics and games and video games and sports and it's touching board games and Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, it's everywhere, everywhere. You have this constant attack going on, and it's just sad to see good people being treated this way. And Gen Con is completely out of line here, completely out of line. This guy was attacked at your event.
You know what they did was they lumped him together with the attacker, and it, like you said, it wasn't over just that incident. They lumped it together with everything else that was going on with the internet and the back and forth. I believe you said the publicity of it, and that's where you see them trying to control the situation. And so what they don't want to do is have one of the members there and not the other one. And I could there's a very small part when you talk about business decisions in which that may be a good idea. The only problem is it's something you have to watch in the long term to see, do they let the other guy back in and not Jeremy? And we just had a conversation last week about, are comic conventions safe? And it's not just the fact that they may be safe, because there are people that are violent, and they're usually the anti-people. We are not anti-people. We are unity people. We're creating the revival. And these anti-people, they're the ones that are coming up with all the internet attacks, the physical attacks, the death threats, the things that are happening at conventions, and so when we see that happening, and then the conventions themselves are also now being swayed and targeting individuals and making decisions based upon that, it gets to be even in a higher issue that needs to be addressed, by the community at large. And that's just another good reason why we're here pointing these things out at the hypocrisy and the injustice.
And not even that, but you have to also remember that these cons are helmed by those far lefting people, like Dragon Con. I don't go for Dragon Con for two reasons. One, they're very biased, and two, the money at this time is supporting a known pedophile who's fighting those charges using the money because he's the founder of Dragon Con. So why would I spend money helping a pedophile try to evade justice? Kind of like that. But to tie it also in is, remember that little comic book called Always Punch a Nazi? Kickstarter. Yeah. No, not Indiegogo. Kickstarter. Because we know Kickstarter. Yeah, which is one of the other reasons why a lot of our Comicsgate people who are affiliated or friendly to Comicsgate goes on Indiegogo, because you had several false pages started up when Ethan did it. With Cyberfrog, somebody posted it like a day afterwards a false Kickstarter and got a couple sucker to give them $48-50 pledge. Fortunately, it's Kickstarter and it's all or nothing gold, but it was still, berserk, and it happened a couple other times for other creators as well. So that's the main issue with Kickstarter, that they're, they have bias on their platform, which is, right as their operation. But if we're recognizing it, we have to move on and be more consumer savvy and consumer aware of, what these platforms that we are utilizing are actually promoting. Are they in tune with our values that we want them to present on or
Right,
be
yeah.
part of it as
Yeah.
well.
Well, this subject we could take a long time on, but we are pressed on time, so we do have to move on. But the last thing I would say about it is this: just give me an understanding of what's going on. Right, this Gen Con, they invited Anita Sarkeesian. Now, I don't know if all of you know who she is, but this is the Gamergate lady. She's the one that doesn't play video games, but came out yelling and screeching about feminism and misogyny and all that kind of stuff. And she's the one that blew it up. And but here's the thing: Anita Sarkeesian doesn't know anything about board games. She's not a board gamer. She has nothing to do with board games or tabletop gaming at all. So why did Gen Con invite her to a tabletop gaming convention? Right? This is how deep it is. Right? It's nonsense. But like I said, we got to move on. This next one is real quick. Just want to mention that here that IDW is coming out with Rocketeer, but the Reborn, as you see here in the picture. But of course, the interesting fact about it is this guy you see standing here, that is not the Rocketeer. The girl is, because now the Rocketeer is a female.
That art is horrible.
Of
is.
course, she has colored
That-
hair and
that
dark.
Tumblr?
Of course, she does. Is
That
she a
Tumblr?
lesbian too?
Oh, I'd imagine. I'd imagine. Yes. Yes.
What
Yeah.
straight person? Those don't exist. Come on. What are you talking?
I believe that's IDW Rocketeer
Yes.
coming to you in a couple months. But yeah, so they decided to bring Rocketeer back, 1930s pulpy action with 2018 modern sensibility. So you know what that's going to entail.
There's no sensibility here. I think that's the point, Denali. Of course, it does bring up the point that this isn't the first time they try to do this. As you're seeing here, Rocketeer is female in Disney animated TV show. Just a couple of years ago, Disney announced they will be doing an animated show, which I don't know when it'll come, but it's coming. And it is going to have a female Rocketeer. Now, of course, these are mock-ups. And if Disney actually made Rocketeer look like this, I'd probably be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, no way. Especially when they killed, not killed, but booted Frank Cho for just showing a bit of skin
Oh my!
of Fanny. So showing
Easy,
that
Bristol.
much, they would have been.
Denali, get out of the way. Go back to the butt. There we go.
You're scared.
So-
But anyway,
Booster's just living up to its name, being the
I just wanted to cover it. But we
Yeah,
need to
cover
move
it.
on to our next segment. And to do that, we'll do our last bit of story today, which is a good news, actually. And here, guys, we have the Stardust and Iron Sights are starting to be delivered. So great news. Now, have any of you in here or in the chat, have you received your Stardust or your Iron Sight yet?
Not yet.
I received the Stardust. Richard forgot to buy more labels and had overnight shipping, but it's going to be a little bit delayed. But he's sending them off, more.
Well, I
but
expect we're gonna see a lot of little hiccups. These guys are new at that. It's okay.
Yeah, but otherwise, I did receive the art print and the books with the bookmark and trading card that came with it.
Oh, sweet. Anybody else receive any of these things? Thundaro, Doom, Luis, Booster, Pixel.
I'm afraid I didn't fund either of these.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I
Well,
funded Stardust, but
I'm an awful comic skater, I know.
I
Oh,
funded both.
Joshua Hughes just wants to let us know that Nasser is an official member of the Cult of Raven. If you didn't know that already, well, I didn't know that, but I don't know that I really care.
I think
Yes,
Joshua is a bit of a liar.
Nasser sent to me, so it's fine.
I'm so glad that the Cult of Raven has a robot. That just makes me feel very confident and safe.
Well, I'm glad to hear the Cult of Raven has 2 members.
One of them's not a real person.
Robot.
Oh, now they'll fight words now. All right, Joshua, you can lay into him. Go ahead, man. I'll let you. All right. Well, Denali seems the only one that's got one yet. I backed Iron Sights. I didn't back Stardust. So let's yeah, burn. Yes, Sierra Whiskey says. But Denali has got Iron Stardust. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it, dude?
Yeah, so it has 3 stories. The main story is about Stardust, and then there's two smaller anthology stories in the book, which one is about a vampire, and the other one is about a monster attacking the spacemans, and they're trying to signal back home not to come. The other one is just like a couple 2-3 pages, vampire thing, and whether to live or whether to die as a vampire.
Okay, so there's 2 stories. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
3 story. Yeah, so it's 3 stories. So the first one, so the first one is the main story that deals with an alien and their crew crash landing on Earth, and Nasser already spoiled this part, but they kill the most of the crews except for this lone one that you see in the image right there, and then he in turns commits onto them what they've done to his crew, and then you kind of follow him what his morality is. So by the time you finish reading the first story, you want to reread it and kind of rethink of what you just read. So it's a
really comes, Denelli, this really comes to of course, we get any questions from the chat, and I have it myself. The real question, Denelli, is how is the writing, man?
How's the writing? It's pretty solid. I liked it. For the first outing, for seeing it, it wasn't really. It didn't strike me as horror enough for me, but for the story that he was posing, it kind of was more thought provoking. Maybe because I read so many horror books that it kind of doesn't faze me anymore. But it did give me a moment to think about it. So I read it and reread it, and for what it was a solid piece of writing work as well.
Well,
that's cool.
All right. Yeah, it is cool. Well, James S is saying something. He keeps hearing that people have to reread Stardust, but that's a good thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. All right. Well, but any of you who have backed these, they are on the way out, and I'm waiting for my iron sights over here in Japan. Let's see how many months it takes. So
now that begs a question, I think. And William Reed actually had a comment in which he says he's getting picky at what he is backing. And so, is there anything now that has anyone else here has backed, say in the last few days?
Yeah, well, that's a good transition. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so like something real. I decided not to back it because the first issue of that PDF came with Stardust campaigns, so we could review it and see what it was. The story, as I read it, the art was okay, but the story didn't really catch me for my opinion. Somebody else might enjoy maybe the first 2, they're giving issue 1 and 2. And it might be that you need both of those issues to get the full context of the story. But me reading it and all that, I was like, it didn't really catch my interest. So
yeah, well, that is a good question. There's a lot of good things, and anybody here in the chat that is backing some of the new Indiegogos, just let us know, and we'll mention it up here. But what we want to do is go ahead and start talking about the Indiegogos, and we're very lucky today. I think we have. Our guest here with us is actually has an Indiegogo ongoing. So let me go ahead and get that set up. And where did I put that? I put it over here. Okay. All right. So Luis.
Oh, yes, Chester.
Now, as you guys see, we're up here on, let me make sure I white box myself. We're up here on the Indicron page. And Something Real has got itself about a day left. It's the one that's going on. Of course, Pixel Trader has created this. Thank you very much, Pixel. It's a great website. Now, your Indiegogo is called what?
Oh, it's Damnation of the West. It's the second last one on the list there.
Okay. All right. So, ooh, look at that. It jumps us right over.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead and tell us about your book and tell us what's going on, man.
Well, there's the summary of this particular issue. It's about two detectives trying to survive the night when a mysterious epidemic starts to occur in my own version of New York called Chrysler Island. On 61 pages, so a lot to unpack in one issue.
Wow. It says 58 sequential pages. That's excellent. Do you have a stretch goal that's going to increase that number?
I do, yes. I have my notes here, but I'll have to open it. One second.
Now, are you writing this, drawing this, or doing both?
I'm doing all of it.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that includes him inking and coloring. So when he says all of it, he means all of
it. Yeah.
Wow, it actually looks really good, man.
It's very time consuming, but yeah.
Well, it's creative process, right? So tell us more about it. How did you get into art? How did you decide to make a comic? What motivated you? You know, give us some information about yourself and what led you to this comic book.
Well, I've been drawing my whole life as back as I can remember. So I've always been pretty artistic with drawing characters when I was growing up. So then I started drawing this character called well, I think it's kind of a spoiler for the story, but well, the main character came first before I made the notes for the comic. So I just started doing, just drawings of the characters. Then I started writing scripts. Then I started drafting scripts. Then I kept on going from there. That was like 5 years ago. Then I started drawing the first issue. Then here we are. It's pretty much nearly done, and I'm really proud of what I've done so far.
Ah, cool, man. Well, it must have been daunting in Denver. Let's get some questions for you. Mr. Tondaro, you got a question for Luis here?
Unfortunately, at the moment, I do not. I got
All
one
right,
second.
that's fine.
I'll
How
have
about
one. I'll have
Pixel?
one in a second. I was just distracted with something.
That's all right. How about you, Pixel? You got any questions? Ooh, that's not safe for work.
Oh yeah, I should mention that.
That was a close one.
And this is why IndieCron is getting a rating system.
Yeah, thank you.
Just because you.
No, but seriously though, the one thing I wanted to mention was just that I think the book looks really cool. I'm actually happy that we're getting more horror titles kind of mixed in with the books. There is only a handful of books that are doing that right now. There are a few genres that haven't really been tapped very well, and that I'd like to see more of that happen anyway. But yeah, the whole discussion about the rating system stuff I think is something to talk about later. But there's definitely a place for that. I think a lot of people are looking for alternative books that do this, and so I'm really happy to have them on our list and being part of Comicsgate. So thank you for
me too. Lots of variety. So I think that needs that in any thing.
Yeah. So Pixel Trader, does that mean that Brand will be given the horror sign for that evil Santa? Was that ask me that feminist agenda? That's pure horror right there.
That's pretty scary for sure. So I asked him about like what he wanted to be classified as, and I don't even remember what do we have him listed at right now. It's really superhero horror.
Yeah.
So I think. Oh no! Wait, no. That's Graveyard Shift. What about Brand? Brand is just listed as horror right now.
Mm.
Cool. But so the rating system though is going to be voluntary. People don't have to take part in it, but it'll allow them to rate their books if they want to.
No,
that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Pope? You got any questions for Luis here? He's got his first Indiegogo, I'm assuming, Luis?
His first one. Very first book. Yeah.
Any questions for him, Pope?
My only question is, how excited are you?
I didn't really take my step back to think, but I'm just busy just trying to finish the book. I'm actually pretty excited to get people reading it. Yeah, now that you mention it.
I understand.
Cool.
So, and how far along the book are you? I see that you posted 16 pages. So are you like halfway done? Or are you still, or maybe still within the first third of it, still working on it?
Well, I'd work on the last page that I have to work on, but my mouse is dead. Only one page to get done, pretty much.
Oh,
that's
okay.
it. Then.
Oh,
who's your artist?
It's me.
Oh, you are the artist.
Yeah, he's everything.
Oh, yeah.
For this.
Huh?
What's your inspiration?
Oh, as in the art or the story?
Art, theme, story, any of it.
This is actually the first version of the art I tried. I just did my own thing. I didn't really look at any artists in terms of inspiration, but
Mhm.
in terms of story, I pretty much just thought I had some movies in mind when I was writing the first couple of drafts. Have you ever seen Pandorm? It's like a sci-fi horror from
Yeah, I like that
2000.
movie.
Huh?
That's a good
Oh
movie.
yeah,
Heard of that
it's
one.
really good. But mine was the sci-fi, of course. Then End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like it because of the whole aspect of the devil chasing a cop throughout the city. I thought
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. And Children of Men. It's just I really like the whole tone of that movie. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I thought of.
Oh, cool, man. How about you, Doom? You got a question for Luis?
Yeah, were you featured on EVS's brutally honest portfolio reviews?
But yeah, that's the two panels from it on the first image. Yeah, that was the first one to be featured.
Yeah, it looks really familiar.
Oh, awesome.
I love it.
I had to edit the art. He recommended me to change, so I just changed some of the panels.
Cool.
Oh,
Excellent.
that's excellent, man. Yeah, because I love those Ethan portfolio reviews. That's really cool. So, did you find his suggestions helpful?
Yeah, very. They really helped me get a new eye in it, so it's really helpful.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah, so do I, man. There's just something really cool about that has that connection. How about you, Mr. DeWolf? You got any questions here for Luis?
Questions and comments, sure. First off, great paneling. I personally like the way that the panels come together and create a like a kind of a stark. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what word I'm looking for after that, but this stark feeling in the beginning with the straight
And
lines and
eerie?
all. Yeah, eerie and simple, I guess. Simple in your face. You know something is it's blatant, it's straightforward, and then later on the panels become kind of crooked and a little bit mashed together, and that's a great effect. And so just as a fan, once again, I like to give the as a fan comments, and that's what I see there. And I noticed, did I miss this question being asked yet? Is that it says issue 1. How many issues do you have planned?
Well, I was planning to do it for years, but right now I have about 40 scripts written, but that's not really half of the whole series. But yeah, it's meant to be. It's a very long story, pretty much.
Right. Okay.
Great,
Yeah,
though, man.
that is in depth because it looks like that there's a lot to get into to invest time and energy getting to know these characters, and to get to know these characters there's some intense things here. Some people, as they go in to look at finding a comic here at Indiegogo, they would look, I'm gonna be blunt with you, they would look at some of this, and I'm so glad you put in the one here with the faces open, and there's bloody, what are we, 4 or 5 down here? I think you know which one I'm talking about. Because
that's awesome stuff, by the way, man. That's awesome.
yeah, that's amazing horror right there. If I would have backed your comic, and then I would have opened it up, this is personally for me, this is a little bit going too far to put on my shelf. And so I appreciate the fact that you actually put this here. I think it's great art. I think it really captures what you want to do. Even though I may not be able to back it, there's a lot of people that will. But I appreciate the fact that if any other creator has something like this, be sure to warn us, like they're saying the rating system.
Well, I did put a disclaimer.
And I think this actually goes above and beyond. Yeah, this even goes above and beyond that, because I might even look at everything else saying, well, I can handle that, but having something there is just really good at that.
Yeah, It is, and he does have a suggested for mature readers right here, so that is cool. One thing I wanted to mention, why I stopped on the page here, is PDF, and I would like to make a suggestions to all the Indiegogo creators in the community. Please make a PDF of your work available. Please do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, don't you know? It's not hard for you to do, especially the way printing goes these days. Just throw a PDF in, guys.
And if you're going to do that, I would recommend releasing that, putting that. If you're shipping out physical copies, ship the physical copies first, and then put the PDF out through email or whatever, however you're going to distribute it.
Sure.
That way, there's just in case anybody decides to do some tomfoolery, at least they'll have their physical copies without being spoiled.
Good deal.
That's true.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main reason why the creators don't like PDF so much, because they'll put it up in those data banks and all that stuff.
It'll make it very easy to pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get that having it delayed is a good idea, but it is certainly something that
So,
would be very helpful to us.
in my opinion, though, too, I think it's a little bit different than if you are like Marvel or DC and you're getting your PDFs pirated. The books have already been paid for. They're already out. They're going to be shipped and everything anyway. I don't really see what the damage is to have a PDF of your work, and even some of these tiers where they do have a PDF, not all of them actually provide the PDF with the physical copy, which I thought was kind of strange.
Well, I think the issue that comes about it is because some of the creators are looking forward to moving a less stellar version, a lower quality version into the stores, into the newsstands and stuff like that.
Right.
That they don't want the story to be ruined for those potential new ones.
That makes sense. I think the story is going to be ruined anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody gets a physical copy, somebody's going to do a read through and show it anyway. I think that it's probably better for them to get that out there and try to get it in front of people. But
I agree.
yeah, I mean, there is a possibility that they'll wind up doing it in the next version. I know a lot of them, I think, were talking about having PDFs available of the first book when they do the second book. And I'm not sure if that's going to be the case yet or not, but it's definitely something we really need to kind of make people more aware of and really kind of hammer the creators with. Yeah.
If I have a PDF of it, I can, and it's on my iPad or my tablet or my device.
Mm-hmm.
I may not be carrying around that graphic novel. I don't want to carry around that graphic novel everywhere. But if I have the PDF, I can tell somebody else, hey, have you heard about Asgard? You know, and these new comics that are out here. Yeah, well, this is the first one. You know, you missed it. I'm sorry, but hey, check this out. And now read this page and check out this artwork. And boom, you got instant marketing. You got word of mouth, and it is the greatest way to get new products out there in people's minds.
Yeah, and it's also a great way to keep the book pristine too, because if you don't want to crack the spine or something, you just want to read the digital to keep it in perfect condition. If you're that type of collector, then you've got that ability to do that. Yeah, one of those guys.
All right. Well, let me read a comment from the chat here from Dennis Peruch. He says, "Why the lack of love for Luis? Is the GBR price scaring people away? I don't know. I think it's. I'm sorry. What?
Oh, sorry. He's a backer, Dennis.
Oh yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean the pound might have some effect on people. I think it's just new and it's not getting enough press and push, which is one of the reasons we have them on today. Here on FanSpeak, we want to support all the things that are going on in the community, but one way that we might be able to help is talking about the stuff that is smaller and not well known. And I think this book looks really good. I think he's got an interesting story. There's a lot of hard work here, so we want to push it. So, you know, guys, go check it out. You can go to Indicron and you can find it there. Just go to Indiegogo and find Damned Nation of the West, issue #1 from Luis. I'm assuming you pronounce your name Gnomes or Gomes?
Gomez.
Gomez?
Yeah,
Oh, really? That's an interesting way to spell it. Okay. But please do that, guys. Also, don't forget to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Help us out and share this out in the community, because we do have a special guest coming up here in the last segment. But before that happens, let's go ahead and look at some more Indiegogos. Let's see. Let's say Mr. Thundaro. As you see here, we have the Indicron page. Why don't you pick one of these for us to take a look at? One of these smaller ones down here.
Hang on, I gotta make you full screen. I can't see it.
And while you're looking at that,
Popefire in?
Yeah, Popefire has.
Oh yeah, that's right. Popefire had something to say. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Popefire.
Okay, so we're doing, and I'm gonna do a quick screen screen share. We are doing a fundraiser to help people in the community that normally struggle and cannot afford a lot of the comics that are coming out right now. I started this because when I modded for the Lone Star group, I had a lot of people tell me that they couldn't afford Lone Star. I think I bought in total 4 copies of Lone Star for different people. And I had 2 or 3 people come up to me and say, I'd like to help you with this. I'd like to help you with it. I want to help people as well. And the one thing I do admire about Comicsgate is we admire superheroes. We have a good honor system. We want to help people, you know? So I went and I've been sort of setting this up for a while. I've been thinking on doing it for a while, but we've decided, and we're going to launch the donations on October 1st. But for right now, we do have a form. If you want to, if you do need help with stuff, we do have a form that you can fill out and submit now. But yeah, Eric, with the crazy last name that I cannot pronounce, has offered to help.
Ninoltowski.
Yeah, I will be here
Eric
forever.
Wazowski.
We're just gonna call him Eric, and then I'll just put a link to his shop so everybody knows that it is him. But you know, for right now, we will be taking the forms. The donations will start on 1st. I have gone and bought a handful of things for a raffle. We will do the raffle to sort of help people, you know, get interested in wanting to donate. For starters, the first thing that I'm going to announce for the raffle, which I've already announced on the page, was Volume 1 of Moon Knight, Volume 4 of New Teen Titans, and then today I will be announcing the Popefire picks, which are a few of my favorite comics ever. Teen Titans of Tomorrow, The Kingdom 2, Tales of the New Teen Titans Starfire, and then this is from my personal collection, The First Appearance of Night.
Wow.
Wow,
The first
that's
appearance
a
of
good
who?
one.
Wow.
Nightwing.
If you want to enter the raffle, because we will also be getting, we've also got a whole bunch of other donations, which I will be announcing tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to announce all the artists that have offered prints. And then on Sunday I will announce the big raffle prize, which is it was actually donated to me, and it is, I think you guys will really be interested in it. But we want to help the community. We want to give people an option, you know. Oh, and the raffle tickets are 1 for 3 or 2 for 5. So we've thought this pretty hard through, you know. I'm sorry, I have to start. But we're super excited for it. We want to get this ready. We want to give people an option, people that can't afford this stuff. And I know from modding in the groups, and I know from talking to the community, that there are people that can't afford it. And I want to give them an option, and I want to give them a program, and I know I'm not the only one that wants to. We will do the raffle prizes on the 31st, and we will do them in a live stream. But
October 31st, right? October 31st.
Yeah, October 31st. Sorry. We plan to have everything ready. Like, we have the form ready. Everything is ready except for the donation, which we're going to launch on the 1st. So if you guys are interested, definitely go like the page. And then I'm going to link Eric's shop here so everybody knows that it's which Eric we're talking about. He's a lovely person. He when I went around asking who I should put in charge of the money, I was recommended Aaron by several different people, or Eric by several different people. And I've gotten to talk to him a whole lot, and he's given me a lot of great ideas. He is just such a great guy. Yeah, we'll have everything ready. Thank you so much for letting me promote it a little bit. Oh, and the art on there is actually done by Pixel Trader. He let me borrow some of his art until we can get more professional pictures in there.
Ooh,
I see how
that
it
was
is.
uncalled for.
Jeez.
No love for Pixel, man.
The page.
Copy strike.
Pixel.
Copy strike.
Pixel is actually doing the profile picture, so it's just going to be it's going to be a picture dedicated for the page. You know?
When I'm down, wow, get my butt kicked, and now I'm getting just
I
beat up.
Been starting major
Well, well, Pope, I think your idea is a great idea. Make sure you go ahead and put that link to the page up there as well, not just Eric's page.
no, I was just waiting for people to sort of see Eric's link first before.
Oh, that's fine. But yeah, no, thank you very much. I think our raffle to raise some money, and Pope's got a bunch of books, and we have some donations coming in as well. Sounds fun. Those things are community fun events, and I like it. So we'll talk about it when every time we can, and try to push this through the month of October for sure. So, Mr. Thondoro, we got a few minutes left. Let's go ahead and look at one more of these Indie Crown books.
Alrighty.
Which one do you think we should do, sir?
The one I picked, and it's just because I'm a massive George Washington fan, is General Washington: Victory or Death.
All
Now,
right,
according
let
to
me
this,
find
it
that.
says it's a comic book covering battles during the campaign of 1776. Doesn't look like it's going to hit its goal, but that doesn't necessarily mean he can't relaunch it. It actually looks really good. The art's pretty sharp. It's clean. Doesn't look like anything too sloppy. And being a history buff and loving the Revolutionary War period, I think it'd be pretty cool to actually see this come to fruition. One other thing I wanted to say is I think a big part of the problem why you have so many of these at the bottom of the list is I've never heard of this guy. I don't know why I've never heard of this guy. I've never even heard of this comic till I just noticed it on the list. I think one thing in the community that everybody who cares about smaller creators needs to do is we have to reach out to these creators and get them to reach out to the bigger guys, because we got to get them in front of people. Like, I mean, this only has This only has 35 backers for $900, which isn't bad. It's not terrible, but it could have so much more because there are tons of veterans and patriots in our movement for American history, and just people outside of America who think American history is cool. I think this could be it looks like a pretty cool project to me. Things like that need to be rectified. There needs to be more communication from people like this. I don't know if anybody has any contact with this gentleman at all, but it'd be great to be able to talk to him and see if we can boost him a little bit or encourage him not to give up just because he doesn't look like he's going to succeed this time.
Well, we are trying to do that here, but you're right. It would be nice to have some of the bigger guys do that. I mean, Ethan and Mike, they do try to do a little, but I think they're mainly dealing with people who they know from the industry, and but that's one of the reasons why on this channel and everywhere I go, and I'm assuming you guys do the same, I'm always pushing this Indiecron, because Pixel's Indiecron is a place to know what's going on, and the big guys, you know, like Ethan and Mike and Mitch and stuff, Richard, they need to be pushing Indiecron, get people going over there looking at it. It's the centralized place for all the information we need, and yeah. But I mean, the art looks great, man. I mean, look at it. It's
I think they set their goal a little high, and but unfortunately, you know, you really can't take that back at this point. They did do a digital copy, which I'm really happy with, but I think they kind of shot a little higher than they were looking, or thought they. I don't know. I don't think they have enough presence yet. I barely knew about these guys. The only reason I saw these guys, obviously, just because they came out to Indiecron. But I think Edwin actually either had one of them on or was talking about it. But that's the only time I've ever seen anything. I haven't seen much promotion through any of the other channels. I haven't seen anything on Twitter from any of the. I track a lot of different hashtags, specifically for Indiecron, to be able to pick up different campaigns as they come up. I never see these guys mentioned, and it's unfortunate because it's a really good looking book. I'm not much of a history person, but the art's solid, and I hate to see something like this, fall to the wayside because they just didn't have enough push.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is that it's the timing is a little bit off, and not just well, okay, it is also the fact that there are so many different comics that are coming out right now on Indiegogo. But another thing is the actual timing of its release. I would say closer into that, well, I guess you can't just say January, February, and because of 4th of July. Wait until the end of the year. If they're going to re-release it, wait until the next year rolls around, and then try to push it for a release in June, so that they can make 4th of July. And part of that cost, if you didn't see that, it's pretty exciting that they had that the historian on there. If you read about the historian and the accuracy of the actual real words of the individuals that they must be pulling out of diaries and stuff, that's going to take a little bit of extra time and money.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've estimated before that the members of Comicsgate or Comics Revival is about 6,000 to 8,000. Now I took that from looking at Indiecron and trying to guesstimate how many backers are the same backers and whatnot. And I know it can be anywhere up to close to 10,000, but I think a good more conservative estimate is 6,000 to 8,000. If you take 10% of that, you got 600. And if his book sells at $20, that right there is 12,000. So, it is possible, it is doable, but that's kind of where that should be set. Good 10% of us superhero lovers are also going to be patriotic lovers, and I think it's going to be way higher than that too.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of veterans and stuff within the group, just all over the place. It's a very large percentage. Not even just of creators, just of people in the crowd are veterans, it seems. And I think that's something a lot of vets would be interested in. It's very, obviously, it's patriotic. General George Washington is one of the most famous people to ever live. I think this is a really good idea. I think it's something that could even be bigger than just Comicsgate. It's just a really cool idea, a way of telling some very significant stuff that's happened in history of our country. What I'd recommend to them is what I would do is I wouldn't give up. I'd keep the digital copy, maybe jump that up a little bit in price and push that more than the printed comic for your first book. Get the digital copy out there, get that under you, and then maybe try and get it printed. Just because I think that they're, like you said, they're shooting a little high, and that's great. I hope they succeed at it, but I don't think it's reasonable. But I do think there's definitely a market out there for this stuff. The problem is it's just not in front of anybody.
Exactly. Well, it does come down to marketing, though, right? I mean, and you guys mentioned that a little bit.
It's something. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. It's something that struck me. This would be something that you would want to have, like, targeting like schools, history classes, things like that. I don't think they've ever considered, or libraries even, if they were to
church.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of places that this type of historical type of entertainment would fit perfectly, and I just don't think they've tapped it yet.
I mean, talk to Washington's estate. Talk to any of the historical sites that have his name on it. They might be interested in helping fund it. There's all museums might be interested in helping fund it to give out to kids. There's all kinds of cool ideas. That this is a really good idea. In fact, I wish more people would do things like this for the history of every country, not just America. And it's a really good idea.
No, I think it is too. And as a segue, well, I think what the guys are basically saying is a lot of these Indiegogo guys, they just don't know how to market themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to get out there and talk to the people they need to talk to. They're not professionals at it, which is fine. But Gary Shipmen has actually put me in contact with his publisher, Mr. Burner, and I have sent an email out to him. And Gary Shipmen Someone has come on and hello, Gary.
Hi,
Can
Gary.
you please mute your YouTube, Gary, please? I have sent an email out to him.
Sorry.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Well, I've sent an email out to Mr. Burner, and hopefully he'll be able to respond back. But we want to have him on the show to talk about printing and publishing, and to give us some insight into, how you should do those things. And I think it would help out some of these Indiegogos and being more knowledgeable, but certainly doing things like contacting the Washington Estate and libraries and Scholastic and things like that to get your name out there. This is a good idea for this type of product. And so we've got to help where we can. And I think having Mr. Burner on would be a good way to do that. But as you see, our guest has arrived. Hello, Mr. Gary Shipmen. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great, sir.
Hello
And
there.
Booster says hello.
Well, hello, Booster.
All right. Well,
So does Dennis, Raven, and Bethany.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
All right.
See
Now,
the icons, that is.
yes, the icon. Thank you very much for coming on today, Gary. This is our very first pro segment where we're going to invite some pros from various different parts of the comic book world and have them on and have chat with them and get some insight and such from them. So you're our very first pro guest, and thank you very much for being here today, sir.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Right. Well, what we're going to do is all of us going to have some simple questions for you, and then after that we're going to talk about a Indiegogo of your own that'll be coming up in a few days.
Yeah, in about 7 days, actually.
7 days, excellent. A week out. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to ask the very first question, and this is going to be the same question that I'll ask every pro, so that our fan guests can figure out their questions without having to worry about which one I'm going to ask. My question is a very simple one for you, Mr. Shipman. Seeing as you're an artist and a great artist, many of us here have seen your stuff and enjoy it. Can you tell us what is your favorite character to draw?
Well, first of all, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for liking my artwork. My favorite character to draw. Wow, I'm getting a lot of messages here. That's a hard answer because I kind of can get into pretty much any character that I start drawing. Sometimes I don't even think that I'm necessarily going to enjoy it. And then I start and I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty fun. I just enjoy drawing. So pretty much any character. I mean, there are some things that I don't want to draw. I just don't have any desire to draw certain things that are real dark or, things like that, like evil and things like that. I do understand in comics, though, that you need a contrast. You need to have a hero and he's fighting evil. I really like that aspect of comics, the good versus the evil. And you have to show the evil so that you have a conflict. So, yeah.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's move on and to our next question for you. And I want to go ahead and have our new fan guests ask questions first. So let's go ahead to James, otherwise known as Doom. Why don't you go ahead and ask Mr. Shipman a question?
The only thing I can think of is, have you drawn Dr. Doom? And if so, where can I find it?
I have drawn Dr. Doom. Let me see if I can pull something and do a screen share. Yes, I love Dr. Doom. I think he's the perfect amount of evil to be depicted in comics, to only be thwarted by the Fantastic Four or whoever. But yeah, love Dr. Doom.
Awesome.
I'm looking right now to see if I have a picture that I can screen share for you. So give me a second.
Oh, no problem. That is a good question, Doom. Is that the only character you like? Are you Pope Fire-esque? Doom?
No, I like lots of characters. He's just my favorite.
That's cool. Anyone else here like a villain over heroes, or prefers a villain over heroes?
Me.
Depends on the villain and the hero more than anything.
I think
A good
Darth
villain.
Vader's the one who gets that most of the time, right?
I think if someone prefers a villain, they should be put on some kind of watch list. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If your villain's not good, then your hero's kind of pointless. You have
There's
to have
no
a
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some people prefer the villains, though, right? All right.
Yeah, sociopaths.
I'd say
Oh.
well, I would say you got your Venom, your Joker, guys like that who are almost as popular as their counterpart. So
It's true. The Joker
Yeah.
is certainly popular, especially with Mark Hamill doing him on the animated series. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
him.
So iconic.
Even Batman looks like a villain, you know? He's all dark and black.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he is the Dark Knight. That's true. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there's some. There's
Oh, sorry. Just had a reaction there.
Got a little excited there.
Yeah.
James, have you ever seen Gary's art before?
Of course. Yeah, I watch his streams all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff, and he does a lot of his Packers Land stuff, which I don't want to. I'm sure someone will have that other question. So let's move on to our next question. So Luis, all right, why don't you go ahead and ask Mr. Shipman a question? He's an artist and like yourself, and go right ahead.
I don't know, I wouldn't, to be honest, but I really like your work on Doom here. It's really I love the ink splatters. I'm really into that. Ooh, cool.
well, thank you.
Okay,
That's
He's
beautiful.
he's a fun character
Sorry.
to draw.
that's okay. No problem. So Booster, you got a question for Gary, man?
I definitely have a question. I definitely do. So, Gary, you saw my work on the fan edition of Drawn and Quartered. I was just wondering if you had any pointers for me to improve my artwork.
I was going to ask you if you had any pointers that I can improve my artwork.
That's what I was waiting for. Yes.
Because you killed it.
Thank you, man.
Totally
Well,
killed it.
first, you just got to get rid of all this paper and pen nonsense, all right? It's no good for you. You got to go straight to MS Paint and
All
use
right.
the shapes.
Huh?
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you.
Yeah.
Good. Good advice. Because I'm doing everything wrong.
Well, thank you very much, Booster. That was just the most amazing question, man. But that was hilarious, though. That Drawn and Quartered fan edition was fun. I enjoyed that a lot, actually. Okay, Mr. Thundar, you got a question for Mr. Shipman here?
I do. Hello, Gary Shipman. How are you today, bud?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. My question for you is actually the inverse of the question he just asked you. What would you say is your least favorite character to try and make look not terrible?
Least favorite.
Raven.
You're trying to get me in trouble. Least favorite. Boy, it's hard. I mean, I might think it in my head, like I might think, oh, drawing this character is going to be just a pain. Like even okay, just initially, what comes to my head that I don't want to draw is probably some Transformers.
Oh,
But that doesn't mean that I don't like the Transformers. I just see all the work involved. They're so technical, all this stuff. And then that being said, I drew some Transformers, and I really enjoyed it. So I can show you that if you want to see them. I think I did Megatron or something, but let's see here. I don't know if I put it on.
Another person who isn't a big fan of the Transformers.
What's that?
I said I've heard other artists who don't like the Transformers either.
Well, it's not that I don't like the Transformers. I just don't. It just seems like like a nightmare to draw them.
Is it hard to get emotion and action out of something like that?
Yeah, it's like it's a character that's a machine, and then to try to make it move and to give it some sort of feeling or emotion. That's Megatron, right?
Yeah, that's Megatron. Yeah.
I'd imagine that you'd have to completely revise how you draw something, right? You know, you're used to drawing people and such, and now you're drawing something more squared and got little bolts and bits everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, but I think it's more in my head because once I start doing pretty much anything, I have a good time with it. So like this Megatron, I enjoyed doing it, but when I was commissioned to do it, I was like, oh no, I got to draw Megatron. But it was fun. I had a good time.
It looks great.
Thank you.
Well, that's a very good question too, Mr. Thundaro. So let's see here. Pixel Trader, you got a question for Gary?
Yeah, actually, so I've looked at Gary's work, and he's definitely got different styles that he's experimented with. But I was curious, like, which one does he find to be the most appealing to him, like the most fun to draw in?
I enjoy doing the looser style. That's more my thing. Maybe I can pull something up here.
What do you mean by looser style?
It's just more. It's free. I almost don't even use a pencil. Like here's something that I did.
Oh, kitty,
that's cool.
And so I
just that's cute.
So it's more like Mitch's style because Mitch does the free looser style as well with his drawing.
Yeah, more of a gesture type thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I've only seen like his stuff on the Red Rooster, so I'm not exactly sure if it's the same thing or not. But if it is, then yeah,
it's pretty close, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a nice picture, nice bit of art.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll pull up another one so you can see like how it works with superheroes.
All right. Oh, there we go.
So this is a great time for me to kind of get in here with my question per se. And that is the fact that I see you do a lot of things like in Packin's Land, and your artwork seems to be very realistic, kind of gritty. It has everything seems to have more of a form that is more touchable and not just this two-dimensional, 4-color artwork. Is that different when you do something that is grounded and maybe earth-based versus cosmic? Does that change the way you're going to view or draw a character?
That is a good question. You know what? It all is very much an experiment with me. And even in my stream, like if you guys, those of you who've watched me draw, there's many times where I'm telling everybody, I feel like I'm laying down a mistake when I'm starting. I start making a mistake right away. And then it's how do I solve this problem? How do I correct the mistake that I've made, which is called art?
Sports bra, for example, sports bra.
Right. That
Thanks
was
to Nolly.
Bigfoot Bill I drew, and it just went terribly wrong. It was hilarious. So if you want to go watch it on my channel, you can have a good laugh.
I thought it was good, actually. I liked it.
Thank you. But yeah, it's so if I was to do something like, let me see if I can pull up something that I did that would maybe be more cosmic looking. The first thing that comes to mind is Silver Surfer.
Oh, I love Silver Surfer.
So
look at that.
There's not a lot of space back there, but that's just what comes to mind. Yeah, I think that I kind of approach it the same way that I would with something that's more here in the real world, I guess you'd say. I don't know. It's cosmic is still real world, but it's just not something that we deal with regularly because we're here on Earth. So I hope that answered the question.
No, I think it's that was a very good question, actually, DeWolf. All
Yeah.
right, well, Denelli's the last one, so go ahead and ask your question, Denelli.
Sure. Gary, I've been hearing that you are about to do a project and it's going to launch on a platform called Indiegogo. What is that project about?
I'm going to be doing a sketchbook. That's going to be my first Indiegogo, whatever you want to call it, venturing into Indiegogo to kind of get my feet wet, to figure out kind of the pitfalls. Hopefully I figured them all out before I'm going to launch here in about a week. But there are so many gray areas when it comes to doing crowdfunding and things like that, and trying to get a campaign going that, you know, I could use probably all the help I can get. So, yeah, but it's going to be a sketchbook. Actually, I have it right here. So this is just the little thumbnail that I did for a video for launching the Indiegogo campaign for my 2018 sketchbook. But there's going to be like a ton of perks. The perks are equally as good, I think, to the actual sketchbook. One of the perks is going to be we're going to reprint the first issue of a comic book that I did back in the 90s called Packin's Land. And we did about like 18 issues of it, and then it stopped. And it's gone into kind of, you know, oblivion, I guess you'd say. And so that the first issue, we're going to give that as one of the perks. You also would get a sketchbook, and it's going to have a new cover, and it's going to be exclusive to the Indiegogo campaign, the cover. And then we're also going to be at a different perk, giving the original art of that cover away in one of the. It's only going to be one, so it's like there's only one original. So sorry, but and then we're also going to have a calendar that we're going to be giving away for 2019. It's going to be a Packin's Land calendar, and in that calendar, we're going to put the date, like mark it on the day, revealing that information of when we're going to be launching our Packin's Land Indiegogo campaign. So that's going to be in 2019 that the Packin's Land omnibus will be made available.
Nice.
Well,
Looking
awesome.
forward to that. Yeah.
And are you
Yeah.
going to be using a fulfillment service, or are you going to be getting your kids and wife involved in all that packaging?
Yeah, right at this moment, we're going to be using my wife and kids and
Yeah,
friends.
there you go.
Yeah.
The Mike S. Miller path. I get it.
Right. Yeah. So, but if it gets too much out of hand, we may have to. But I'm not foreseeing. I think that we'll be able to handle it. I don't think it's going to be too overwhelming.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it, especially seeing that later with the Packin's Land omnibus. I definitely want to get a hold of that. It's good looking. I have your other two sketchbooks, and they're wonderful. I've actually shared them with my my kids' classes at my school, and they all enjoyed the art. So it's
thank you.
certainly kid friendly.
Thank you.
But I guess the follow up to Denelli's question would be, how are you going to go about? And you know, one of the interesting things we did was you actually invited several of us on, and we built the Indiegogo with you. Where we offered advice and help, and I thought that was great. And if I think people should go see that video, especially if they want to make an Indiegogo, just to get an understanding of what the process is. But as far as promoting this, how are you going to go about that? Are you going to be on Ethan's show and Mike's show? Or what's your plan for that?
This is something that still needs to be breached, I guess, because there are certain people that are real busy. You know, they're like, I call them the big hitters, and so they have their own things going on, and it's hard to maybe get a hold of them. And so, I mean, I am totally willing to go on different people's channels on their show and talk about it. That's awesome to me. But really it has to. I feel like it's other people. I mean, because they've run their own campaigns and they're into fulfillment right now. You know, they're drawing pages and they're slammed with work. So I totally get all that, and so I'm kind of just I don't know. I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm willing to go on people's show. You know, it's fine.
Well, I know Mike will have you on. I know Ethan will have you on. So I'm looking. I think. Yeah, I know. And you understand that you have about 30 days of no sleep coming to you, right?
Yeah, along with all the other days that I've had no sleep.
Yeah, doing this YouTube is a busy thing, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah.
William Reed has a comment for you from the chat. He says that he loves how we all voted on what Gary was putting in his sketchbook, and so did I.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
One thing I would definitely recommend is when you go onto EVS's chats, because he's going to have you on, like everybody said, he will. And he gives you that, hey, go ahead and pitch this, be ready for it. And I would even practice it, in all honesty. You're going to be in front of 1,500 to 2,000 people, all of which are potential customers. A lot of guys get up there and they fumble, and then their books don't get funded as fast. Whereas the guys who are up there and they know what they're ready to say, you don't have to say a lot, maybe a minute, just a quick little elevator pitch. And I think it'll help you a lot. I think it's something that everybody should make sure they're ready for.
Yeah. Okay. And that, by the way, Gary, is Mr. Thundaro. He is the mighty wrench of Ethan Van Sciver, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not only that, it's to keep pushing it, keep talking about it, mention it every time he can. Like one things I've noticed with Ben Jones, for instance, he's got Asgard out right now on Indiegogo. It looks fantastic. And he is making some money off it. But when he gets on the shows, he just chats about the things and he doesn't take the opportunities to pitch his work. Mitch did that, and look how much money Mitch made. Right. So yeah, that's a good point, Mr. Thundaro. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good advice.
All right.
So
well,
if you guys want to be a part of my Indiegogo campaign, we're going to be giving away a 2018 sketchbook, which is going to rock, 60 pages. You're also going to get a ton of perks. See, I'm doing it right now.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good point, man. It is a good point. I've seen people fumble just like Thundaro said, and you don't want to do that. You want to hit it and pitch it, because especially on Ethan's channel, I mean, you're looking at near 80,000 potential customers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
For the highest ones like Ethan and Mitch, the way I saw them doing it, it's every stream they would talk to a topic and then tie it back to their product. He would. Like Ethan, he would go off on the SJW. He's like, man, these SJWs, they're just loonies. They're blue head loonies. And, there's nothing you can say about them that, they won't get offended. I could just say happy and they'll be offended. What? You're telling me to be happy? And I'm here just drawing about frogs. I'm just here drawing a frog. Go ahead.
I said telling women to smile is sexist.
It was. Well, they told us that when people said she looked boring in the trailer for Captain Marvel, and everyone says men are being sexist, asking women to smile. Oh my goodness! But anyway,
and actually, there's two good suggestions in the chat right now. Talk to Edwin and give him something. Just give him a piece of something to look at, something he can, because Edwin's fantastic at promotion. And his voice is obviously ridiculously nice. So and I'm sure you do it. Edwin's a really nice guy.
Yeah, Edwin is nice. I do like him.
The slight difference here too is it's a sketchbook, so you don't have to really pitch a story too much. You just have to get the art in front of people so they can see what they're getting.
Yep,
and really kind of hammer home. This is some of my favorite work. I really want to get it out in front of you. I just pitch like. You're getting me. They're getting Gary. They're getting to see what's behind the artist and what your favorite pieces are to show to them. And when you can make that personal connection, and they can get a piece of your work and really see, because I know a lot of people want to know more about what you do, and you come on these streams and you do these really great pieces, and everybody's just locked and fixated on it because you knock out these beautiful portraits during the different shows and stuff. I'm sure more people want to see your work.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Gary, and being our guest and allowing us to practice on you, sir. We're trying to get better at what we're doing. So thank you for that, and thank you for everyone watching. We are really trying to build up a community here. We're trying to get more people involved in what we're doing. I want to thank all the fans, guests we had on here today. I want to thank Luis for coming on and being a fan with us, but also talking about his Indiegogo. Thank you also for James, otherwise known as Doom, for coming on, a new guest this week. And this was a lot of fun. We had a good show. And so everyone, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this. We really want to build this community up. And don't forget to go over to FanSpeak and, like we mentioned earlier, put your art there, put your comic book reviews. Let us share that with this community. And so thank you all once again. And everyone, all our fans, say goodbye to the people.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, people.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you guys, and we will see you next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for FanSpeak. Good evening.
Bye.